Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning, and welcome to this, the Wednesday edition of Vuka Nazo, your morning news analysis show here on the Big Daddy Liberty Show. My name is Sihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. My apologies, of course, for not having been with you on Sunday for Liberty and Friends, and then, of course, Monday and Tuesday for Vuka Nazo, as it was Rosh Hashanah, which, of course, is the Jewish New Year, the observance, if you will, of the new year. So with that being said, we're back on your screens and we're bringing you the news analysis that matters. Remember, if you want to get in touch with us here at the BDL show, including seeing any missed shows you may have not seen, you can go to our website at www.bigdaddyliberty.com. There, of course, if you scroll to the bottom of the website, you can pledge some support. 100 Rand a month helps us here at the BDL show keep the content going. With that being said, all of our social media information, is in the descriptor of the video. Enough with that jibber jabber. How about we get straight into the news? All right, to begin here this morning, where, of course, the expression that one is fiddling whilst Rome burns comes to mind. This, of course, after news came out that Gordhan, yes, that's right, the Minister of Public Enterprises, that useless commie, has literally met with the Eskom board. Yes, those people who are struggling at the moment to even keep the lights on. Met with the Eskom board, effectively saying, toodaloo, good people, that is the end of your jobs, as he is looking to, quote, reconstitute and restructure the board. Of course, that is according to a news piece in Financial 24, which basically had the write-up on this story, explaining in detail as to what the plan is. And you'll see even here how much of a mess even the board of Eskom had been. The write-up going as follows: that the minister, that's Gordhan, informed the board that a review had been finalized and that the board will soon be reconstituted and restructured. The board members will, of course, will be informed of the outcome of the said process. That's after the department issued a statement. Now, here's the odd kicker. Eskom, which can have a maximum of 13 non-executive directors, has only been operating basically with 6. This after 7 had resigned, with the first resignation being all the way back in 2018, and those replacements never having happened. The remaining directors, of course, whose term had begun in that year 2018, had been appealing to Gordhan, that same useless commie of a minister, for these several years to fill these vacancies on the board. It is critically short of skills that it needs, particularly in engineering and the electricity supply industry, end of quote. And of course, that is the genesis of it all here. All of this is smoke and mirrors. All of this is futile actions. You can replace one board with the next. You can replace the CEO, Andre de Ruyter, with the next individual. The point of the matter is Eskom as an institution is way too big, way too cumbersome, and effectively as a bureaucracy is effectively useless. It is ground to a halt. So that what we're seeing here, which in and of itself is fraught with these issues. I mean, you're now finding out that, the same board since 2018 has been operating short of the critical skills needed on a leadership structure like this one, is testament to the fact that any restructuring and rejigging by the same government that brought you this mess as it is simply futile. The ANC as a government has run out of ideas as to what to do with Eskom, and the solution is a simple one. Disband Eskom as it is, break it up and privatize it. Yes, the state can keep the infrastructure such as the power lines, the transmission part of Eskom, but insofar as it comes to transmission and the provision of power, open that up to the private sector, allow them to be able to supply electricity to the grid, and effectively free us from the incompetence of political elites who look to Eskom right now. That zombie, brains, institution as it is, who look to that institution as nothing more than a cash cow for tenders and self-enrichment. Disband the damn useless thing, break it up, and open the market, allow competition to come in to supply the electricity, thereby ending load shedding and freeing us from state and statism and the disaster of it. All right, I take you to KwaZulu-Natal now, where, if anything, I remind you just how fundamentally corrupt, how fundamentally fraudulent, how fundamentally rotten to the core the ANC is. And indeed, the ANC in KZN delivering on that particular reminder insofar as who it put forward as its preferred candidate to lead the party after its elective conference in December. You'll remember, of course, the ANC in all its 9 regions will be meeting in December to elect its new leaders. Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president of the ANC, of course, being the incumbent, while the ANC in KZN saying it would like to see Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Yes, that character, the same character of alleged corruption by a one company, Digital Vibes, that is led by his friends rather, who are political elites, as they always do, form these companies in order to benefit off of their relationship with political figures and politicians. While Digital Vibes, as you'll remember, said to be a company that benefited rather healthily to those COVID funds in the country, siphoning off money and having some of that money allegedly go to the friends and family of Zweli Mkhize. Well, that individual, Zweli Mkhize, being touted to be the next leader of the ANC, if the ANC in KZN have their wish. This story, of course, in the EWN, which wrote up what came out of that press briefing by the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, where they explained who they want to be in the helm. The party, of course, held a press briefing to brief the media on its backing of former Health Minister Zweli Mkhize for the position of president, and get this, former ANC Treasurer General Upol Mashatile for deputy president. The party, of course, as I said, is due to hold that elective conference in December, where it will decide on its new leaders. The party said its decision was informed by the branches, who they said wanted Mkhize to be president at the upcoming December conference, end of quote. It doesn't help that the branches are where this information is coming up, because again, it lends itself to the point I'm making. The organization from the very top, filtering down to its regional leadership, to its branches, and to the very end of the line, is clearly fundamentally corrupt and has no problem with advancing the names of people who are morally dubious and who are implicated in serious wrongdoing. This does not bode well for a party that, if it really looks at its prospects in 2024, knows that it may very well be heading for an election loss. This kind of announcement does little to inspire confidence in an electorate in this country who is clearly saying, come 2024, they're likely to give the ANC a bloody nose. A party that cannot learn the lessons of its mistakes is doomed to fail. And I, for one, and millions of other South Africans who are tired of the ANC, are here for it. Trouble in paradise, Gwede Mantashe. Well, it looks like, of course, there is trouble in paradise for the ANC and its alliance partners. Of course, that's Cosatu in this case. In that video that you saw, Cosatu delegates at its National Congress booing ANC leadership there, which was led by Gwede Mantashe. The question looming, of course, is what is behind this? Are we finally seeing perhaps more signs of a potential breakup of the ANC tripartite alliance, which is the ANC, Cosatu, and of course the commies, the South African Communist Party. Are we finally seeing perhaps the ructions which will lead to an actual split, a breakup of this alliance? Are we seeing Cosatu realize that yoking itself to the ANC, a party which may very well lose the upcoming election, might not be a bad idea? Might not be a good idea, rather. This and many questions is what we're asking here at the BDL show, where, of course, in the write-up in The Independent, who basically covered this incident, they noted that members of the party also proceeded to sing Asina Mali, which is Zulu for "we have no money," which is ironic because most of Cosatu's membership, I believe, is made up of public sector unions, who are some of the most well-paid employees in the country. Ironies of ironies. Anyway, Asina Mali, they also chanted "Hamba Gwede, go away, Gwede," and refused to calm down or stop the disruptions. It appears that Cosatu members were expressing, their frustration over a proposed 3% wage increase for public servants. They also held up placards reading, quote, "reject anything below CPI and implement the pay resolution of 2018. Well, there you go. Almost making my point that state employees, and again, this is not a particular jibe or an attack at them. It's just a statement of fact. Like the sky is blue. State employees are some of the most best paid employees in the country. There are private sector employees who are even saying, wow, even that 3% increase would be great for them after they have never received an increase for a while. Gwede Mantashe, therefore, on the receiving end of that particular anger. But the question I'm still asking myself is, why does Cosatu continue to yoke itself to the ANC, even as its own membership clearly is openly and willing to demonstrate at least its displeasure at these particular politicians? But again, even as I say that, I correct myself internally where I say, is this going to be another case where they bitch and moan and complain, demonstrate, and indeed disrupt their own events when they have these conflicts with each other, and then go straight to voting for these same useless politicians in 2024? That question is one that they ought to grapple with as they begin to really ask the question, what is it really worth it for them? Yes, and in today's final story, I know it's not Friday yet for there to be a Mumish of the week, but fudge it might be a contender later on. One Jacob Zuma, yes, that chap, Mr. I'm too sick to attend court. That chap now saying, hey, maybe I'm not that sick after all. Make me the party chairperson. In a statement that he put out, of course, Jacob Zuma put his name in the ring to be party chairperson, amongst other things, also including a reiteration by him that he continues to support Buffalo Bill, his former wife, of course, and the current Minister of Cooperative Governance, that's Dlamini-Zuma, pledging his support for her presidential ambitions and also indicating that he would open himself up to become chairperson. He writes, of course, in that statement, quote, that I wish to confirm that I've been approached, that's Jacob Zuma, by a number of cadres to make myself available for the position of national chairperson of the ANC, to contribute to the building, that is the rebuilding of the organization, and to provide direction. Lol. He goes on to basically cite that the party is in a bit of trouble, indicating, of course, that the, quote, comrades, let's return the ANC to its rightful owners, he writes. The upcoming conference provides an opportunity for the ANC to be returned to its rightful owners, the membership, and to extricate it from the invisible but powerful forces that use it to entrench privilege and protect the status quo domestically and globally. End of quote. Now, that's a very funny statement to hear Jacob Zuma saying, because he is very much a part of those, quote, powerful forces that seek to entrench their privilege and, of course, protect a status quo. How else would you describe the shenanigans, the factional shenanigans that you see in the ANC? All of which, by the way, contribute to the demise of this particular political party. This, for me, for those of us who pay attention to the politics of it all, who are not dribbled by all of the nonsense, rings as odd and indeed almost self-sabotage at this stage. And perhaps for organizations like the National Prosecuting Authority, maybe zoom in on this, because if Jacob Zuma is, and again, not just the NPA, funny enough, but also the Correctional Department, questions need to be asked of these organizations. Insofar as if Jacob Zuma is too sick to attend court appearances, but is throwing his hat in the ring to become National Party Chairperson of the ANC, maybe it's time one review that decision to grant Jacob Zuma medical parole, because clearly, homie is feeling much better. All right, that's it for this episode of Vuka Nazo, the Wednesday edition of the show. A very political one. Let me know what you thought about the topics. Of course, you can do that by leaving me a comment whether you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube in particular, do me a solid favor. Subscribe to the channel, help me grow my numbers, and of course hit that bell notification so that every weekday from 7 a.m. you're notified when Vuka Nazo is on your screen. So that being said, happy Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow.